The Bible is pretty clear about one thing. It doesn't like conspiracy theorists. The Bible even goes as far as calling them out by name. Okay, just kidding. It doesn't actually do that. But what if some of these conspiracy theories that people are talking about online were actually addressed in Scripture? So here are 6 conspiracy theories that the Bible actually confirms. Number 1, the reptilian conspiracy theory. Now, if you don't know what the reptilian conspiracy theory is, it's basically the idea that there's this race of shape-shifting reptiles who live in the earth. And due to their advanced technology, they're able to impersonate humans, especially those with power and influence, and control the world for their own nefarious purposes. And I don't know about you, but there's a couple of people I can think of whose lizard-like features would make them a good fit for this conspiracy theory. But fear not, because the Bible actually addresses this idea as well. In Isaiah 29:4, it says, "Woe to those who are scheming in evil, to the oppressors of Israel, who are plotting wrongdoing while sitting on my people's land." We can see from this passage that there are people who use their influence for evil purposes and take advantage of the weak. They're called oppressors. And oppression will always be a part of human society. Jesus talks about this in Luke 18, verse 2, when he says, "There was in a certain city a judge who neither feared God nor regarded man, and he made sport of the weak and oppressed." But I want you to notice something here. The judge in this passage isn't described as a lizard person. He's simply described as a human being. So, while the Bible does acknowledge that there are people who do bad things, it never suggests that these people are shape-shifting reptiles. And this pattern continues throughout Scripture. When the Bible describes wicked people, it never once suggests that they're reptilians. Instead, it simply describes them as people who turned away from God and chose evil. Number 2, the secret society's conspiracy theory. Now, let me start by saying that there is nothing wrong with joining groups or organizations, but some secret societies operate in a way that is very much condemned in the Bible. For example, the Illuminati is an organization that's often associated with the New World Order conspiracy theory, which claims that a secret cabal of individuals is working towards a one-world government. And while it's unclear whether or not the Illuminati really exists today, there are definitely organizations that have operated throughout history under similar principles. For example, there was a group called the Order of the Star of the East, which was founded in Germany in the 1770s by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of law at the University of Ingolstadt. Like the Illuminati, this organization sought to bring about a new world order through a secret society that was dedicated to the pursuit of enlightenment and the overthrow of traditional authority structures. And while both of these groups are rooted in paganism, there's no evidence that either of them are running the world. But what is interesting is that the Bible has a lot to say about secret societies. In Deuteronomy 18:9-12, we read, "When you are in your land, you shall not let any of these abominations be done in your land. There shall not be among you those who practice divination, soothsayer, one who interprets omens, sorcerers, or one who conjures spells, or mediums, or spiritists, or one who calls upon the dead. For all of those that do these things are an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the land is going to vomit them out." So what we can see here is that secret societies that engage in the occult are specifically called out in Scripture, and this condemnation continues throughout the Old Testament. In Isaiah 8:19 we read, "They say to the seers who prophesy out of their own hearts, 'Do not prophesy to us what is right. Prophesy to us what our hands desire and what our feet desire.'" And it seems like the problem with these secret societies wasn't just that they engaged in the occult, but that they also tried to manipulate the prophets of God into giving them the message that they wanted to hear instead of the message that they needed to hear. So, if we're going to join any kind of group or organization, we need to make sure that we're not joining a secret society that's trying to manipulate us or turn us away from God. Number 3, the New World Order. Now, while the New World Order conspiracy theory is a bit more complex than some of the other ones we've talked about, it's important to remember that the idea of a one-world government isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, the Bible actually talks about a time in the future when there will be a literal kingdom that will rule over the entire earth. In Daniel 2, verse 44, we read, "And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed and shall not be left to another people. The sovereignty, the dominion, and the greatness of all these kingdoms will be given to the people of the Most High, God, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all the kingdoms will serve and obey him. But before that happens, there is a period of time known as the Great Tribulation that must occur. And this tribulation will be unlike anything that has ever happened before. In Matthew 24, verse 21-22, we read, "For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the creation which God created until that time. And unless those days had been shortened, no flesh would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened." This passage makes it clear that the only reason the tribulation won't be as long as it could be is because God has chosen to shorten it for the sake of his people. So, if you're concerned about the New World Order conspiracy theory, rest assured that God is in control and he won't allow anything to happen that he can't handle. Number 4, flat earthers. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one because honestly, it's just silly. But the Bible actually says something about flat earthers in Isaiah 40:22. It says, "He sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who are nothing before him. He stretches out the heavens like a curtain and lays the beams of his temple. He who calls the winds, and the four winds come raging at his glance." This passage makes it clear that the earth is round, because otherwise, how could God sit above it? And let's be honest, if the earth were flat, it would be pretty hard for God to stretch it out like a curtain. So, if you're still unconvinced about the shape of the earth, maybe you should just ask God directly. Number 5, chemtrails. If you've spent any amount of time on social media, then you've probably seen people claiming that there are chemicals being sprayed on us from airplanes. While there is no evidence to support this claim, it is addressed in Scripture. In Ezekiel 4:13, God says, "Son of man, when the watchman sees the cloud coming, like the cloud that comes from the north, he should report to the people of Israel what I say concerning it, that there may be no warning for them when death comes like the south. Thus you, son of man, have a watchman who warns the people. When you hear a sound of a ram's horn, give warning to my people that they may flee in defense of their lives." So, while the Bible doesn't explicitly talk about chemtrails, it does talk about clouds being used as a means of communication. So, if you're worried about chemtrails, maybe we should all just look to God for guidance. And number 6, time travel. While there is no explicit mention of time travel in Scripture, there is a passage that seems to imply that it's possible. In 2 Peter 3:3, we read, "Knowing this first, that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, 'Where is the promise of his coming?' For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were before creation, the earth standing in its place, the generations being renewed upon the earth." So, what Peter is saying here is that in the last days, there will be people who claim that Jesus isn't coming back at all, that everything has always been the same and always will be the same. And what this passage seems to imply is that these people are so far removed from the original creation that they believe that time has stood still. So, if time travel is possible, it wouldn't be surprising if some of these scoffers were actually time travelers from the future who were sent to prevent people from believing in Jesus. So, there you have it. 6 conspiracy theories that the Bible actually confirms. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our content. Thanks for watching.